Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota podcast. My name is Mpho and I've got Tim Delace here with me. He's the co-host of the show. Do we talk all things cricket, South African cricket? And so today, for our final episode of our second season, essentially, we have our domestic season recap. We're going to be talking about player moves, early season player moves. Before we do that, Tim, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, mate. Yeah, can't complain. Um, Looking forward to the chat. Because there's a lot of player movements. At the last counting, it's 36 players. So that's basically three teams.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's three teams. People have moved, but remember, you can obviously sponsor this podcast or advertise by sending me an email, and we can have you lovely on and talk about your products and all of those things. So remember that, and please do send that email and support us. You can find our podcasts, all audio, Spotify, uh, Amazon podcasts, I think, yeah, and also what is it, Apple Podcasts. So we're trying to cover as much as, but every season around this time, players move. Some sign 1 year contracts, some sign 2 year contracts. We don't have that much detail around the contracts that are being signed. We just see players move and go, oh, okay. So this isn't like American sports or even South African football where you have free agents. There are free agents. We just don't know about them. And so we will get to that point in cricket, South African cricket, where we will know, oh no, this is a 2 year contract, this is a 1 year contract. And we'd have pre-shows and talk about all of those and talk about, dynamics inside the teams. But for now, we just talk early season moves. We're gonna have another show probably at the start of the new season to talk about the signings that have happened when the season starts and what the teams actually look like. For now, we're going to go through all the teams and then we're going to discuss the moves and talk about those. So that's the show. So please do like, subscribe, and do all of those things. Share as widely as possible. We're trying to condense everything. We'd like to thank Cricket Club's SA, the website, as well as a Twitter account, because we got a lot of the news from there. But Tim's also been skying around, so he's going to be giving us some insight into some moves, some teams that may be coming down the pike or may have happened. So yeah, Tim, let's do this. So I'm going to start with the champions of the 4 day series. They're quite interesting because they got a big fish. And like it was, they couldn't keep that secret very. They couldn't keep that secret for long. So look at the Titans. The Titans got Gerald Coetzee, Matthew Kleinfeld, and Joshua van Heerden. Um, let's talk about that big fish, Gerald Coetzee. Obviously, we knew the Knights were going down to him, but to land Gerald Coetzee, it fits a need they have, which is they needed someone with pace because all their paces were Proteas bound. But obviously now I think having Gerald and Lazard and possibly Lungingiti if he doesn't play in the tests gives you a nice little bowling core. Obviously the question with the Titans is what happens with Corbin Bosch. But you've got Matthew Kleinfeld, who is a nice. He was the best batter in that Knights team across all three formats this season. So I like that addition. Just not sure where he's going to sit, where he's going to fit. And Joshua van Heerden, he was the best batter at border, but is he going to get game time?
That's a trick. That's a tricky one there. Also, the need to add the fact that he's only signed a rookie contract, which
Yeah.
also is something I feel slightly uncomfortable with. Um, he may not be established in terms of South African cricket, but he's an
Mm,
established cricketer. He's played um, international cricket for an associate nation. So I sort of get that the Titans are able to do that to
mm,
entice somebody to come through and sit on the sidelines a little bit. But I hope he's not going to just sit on the sidelines um, and not play because he needs to play. Um, obviously the eye-catching one there is
Mm.
Couture. That is the eye-catching one. Is to say they needed the pace, and they've got it. Um, Particularly if somebody like Lungi comes back now. If Lungi comes back into the frame in terms of protest selection across the formats, and Couture suddenly not the go-to guy, I
Mm.
think he'll be there thereabouts. But if he's not for say a tour or so, then they've got Couture. They've got Couture. It doesn't matter if they
Yeah.
lose Lungi. Um, the Matthew one, I think the Matthew Flavor one is more about squad. It's
Yeah.
having that squad, that squad player who can fit in when needed. Again,
So
can't
what
think
I'm
he's gonna play a lot.
yeah. Um, I'm gonna ask you, Tim, to get closer to the mic just to get you
Sorry,
clearly.
yes, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. The other thing is for me. So, what country did Joshua Van Heerden play for?
Germany.
Germany. Oh, okay. That's quite
T20s for Germany. Um,
okay.
2021. If I think 2021. Um, so yeah, so he's an established cricketer in that frame of mind, in the fact that he has actually played
Yeah.
international cricket. It's an associate nation, but still, it's still I did we sort of touched on this a couple of weeks ago when we talked about possible movements. He was one of
Mm-hmm.
those guys, and I think we were both worried that he was definitely going to get picked up. I don't think that's a surprise because of the way how well he played for Border. Both our concerns, I think, was
Yeah.
game time. Game time.
Yeah.
He has to get game time. That's
So the
the
only
only
issue
issue.
for me is in a team where David Brevis um struggles to get game time. These two signings of Van Heerden and Matthew Kleinfeld kind of is like, okay, cool. So how many games are they going to get? Guys have gotten like 3 games and the like this season at the Titans. So that's not a good thing. But we shall
What I,
see.
what I would just slightly add is the future of Tennis de Bruin is still unsure.
Mm,
Um, it seems to me that he might call quits in terms of cricket.
entirely.
Um, Entirely. Obviously, he has retired from international cricket. Um, it sounds like that might happen. I'm just going to say that it sounds like that might happen. It hasn't happened. He hasn't said that, but
Hmm.
a few sources that I've spoken to suggested that they think that may well happen in the next week or two. He'll say, "Thanks, but I'm moving on to something
Okay.
else."
Okay, that
So that
presents a
might be
spot for.
so that might create a spot for Josh and Brevis and Matthew
Mm,
to play more.
okay. Cool. Next team is the Lions. They won the One Day Cup last year, and yeah, so it's quite an interesting one because obviously there's not a lot of people who've left the Lions who are big name players, right? So you've got Zubair Hamza coming to join, middle order, top order slash middle order that has Riza, that has Dom. Um, Obviously Timber's the national captain, but and yeah, so and obviously Kagiso's left. You also have Tepo Moreki, who I think is an upgrade for them at that spot. I think some of the bowlers are going to move. I don't think Malusi's leaving, but yeah, I think Tepo Moreki is a really good option as a bowler. They've also got Tepo Ndwandwa, who's a left arm spinner from the Warriors. And then they also bring back an all rounder I thought they shouldn't have let go in Delano Portrita. Um, it's unfinished because, like the Titans, you need some moves out in order to fit these people in. You also need to ask whether they're going to make Wandile Makwetu a full on contract and if he's going to be their black batter. And so it's still unfinished, but what do you make of these signings, especially that Zubair Hamza one?
Yeah, obviously from a Cape perspective, the Hamza one is a big one.
Yeah.
It does make things a little bit easier in
Mhm.
terms of the personnel at Cape, actually. It does actually create a space where the young batting lineup province, which we will
Yeah.
get into in a later as we talk about province. So it does work for province, and
Yeah.
also I think it works exceptionally well for the Lions. The Lions have needed some solidification within that middle
Yes.
order. Um, they needed somebody. They start well. They start well with Reza and Josh,
Mm.
but they tended to have little bit of collapses in the middle order. Um, and once you get your Mitchell van Burens becoming a feature in the side on a regular basis, um, and the like and the youngsters there,
Yeah.
I think that's a shrewd piece of business. Mureki is definitely an upgrade at what you had there
Yes.
already.
From Bukako.
Um, Bukako and Mayoli, uh,
Mm.
definitely. This season he's been up with the pace, up with the intensity. Um, he's been a really a good asset for Province to have. And actually, I think we're going to Province, but I think this is a mistake from Province's point of view. Maybe they didn't have a choice because Mureki wanted to go, but their replacement is for me is a downgrade. But in
Okay.
terms of Lions perspective, fantastic signing. So those first two are fantastic signings. Into the third one, we are talking spinner.
Yeah. So
You and I
Liam's
said
gone the other way.
they needed a spinner.
Yes.
He's got experience.
Mm.
Japo's got a lot of experience. He's been a bit sort of he hasn't found a home, so to speak. So he's been around a little bit. Um,
I think he was at the Lions at some point a couple of years
he
ago.
was he was at the Lions, then he
Yes.
was at the Warriors. He's been so he hasn't been anywhere for an extended point of amount of time, and he's reaching that age now where he needs to find a home as a
Yes.
spinner.
And
So and the Lions have lacked quality spin. They've had the pace Arsenal over the last 3 or 4 years. The one part they have is
well, quality backup
yeah.
because Bjorn was there all the time. But now with Bjorn probably even going to the World Cup and getting a national contract, you kind of need to get somebody back in. Cool. Um, yeah, that's an interesting one. Let's go to your team, Tim. Let's go to Western Province. Um, they bring back Mtiwe Kanabe. They bring back Onke Nyaku and Juan James from Northwest. He played SA under 19 a couple of years ago in the middle order. He's an all rounder, but I haven't seen him bowl a lot. Comes into the side. Um, are you happy? You've lost Hamza. You've
No.
lost Tepo Moreki. Um, you now obviously getting
No.
Juan James. Nyaku's coming in and Nabe comes back in, and it feels just like the Titans, a little bit unfinished. There's going to be a second wave of these transfers, slightly the bigger names, but even then, like it doesn't bode well that you started like this.
It to me it's sort of a lot of things. It's sort of a lot of things. So it's sort of what's probably going to happen though. It's the big one. So
Mm,
I don't like the signings as a whole. They might be right in terms of if a squad structure.
yeah.
The only one that I would say is a possible upgrade is if Nyaku is a replacement for Mikajima. If Mikajima is going somewhere else, then Nyaku
Yes.
is an upgrade on him, on age, on um, fitness, just on where he is as a cricketer at the moment. He's on the up again, whereas Mikajima is coming to the end of his career. Um, the other two, no, I'm not because it's not the Nabu is not going to take over from the experience that is Dane Patterson and Bjorn Hendricks. That's what we needed. We needed somebody like that. If we had got in Van Vuren, then I would be saying, you know what? That's a shrewd piece of business. That's something else. Nabu is not a leader of an attack. Nabu is a
Yeah,
part of an attack. He isn't a leader. Whereas
yeah. It's more
Bruin and
squad
Dane,
players.
yeah,
Yeah.
squad
So
players.
for me,
Yeah,
the three are just squad players. They
yeah,
will come in, fill a role. Jean James is an interesting one in that middle order because I'm assuming with Carl not getting a national contract, and George still being around, in that middle order, it's gonna be interesting where he's gonna fit in with all the youngsters. Obviously, there is a spot that Zubair's taken out, that he's obviously lost, and obviously he's gonna go to one of the youngsters, that we've had, that you've seen, John O'Bird or any of those other guys. And so now obviously the question is, do you want quality to come into that, to go get another former pro tier batter, somebody with experience to come in and fill in that role, and then outside of that, um, see what it is. But that's what the Northwest have done, and yeah,
yeah.
um,
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah. Just on the John James thing, I think it would have been better if you could have stayed at Northwest, found his feet,
yeah,
found the rigors of first class cricket in a smaller union, and then come back home. He's coming back home, which is fantastic for him, close to
mm,
his friends and family. I just wonder about, again, regular game time. If he gets regular game time, then fair enough. But if he
mm,
doesn't, I don't want his career to stall because there is a talent there. I just don't
yeah,
want him to stall for a couple of seasons and have to move off again.
yeah. That's true. So now let's talk about a team that I think now realize that they don't want to be in the relegation battle anymore. That is Northwest. They've decided to go get Reynard van Tonder. For all the guys wondering where Reynard van Tonder is going, he's going to be a Dragon. He's going to be wearing maroon next year. He's going to be playing on a very bouncy pitch, very quick as well. So I'm hoping he scores runs. Vian Luber goes to Northwest. They get a left-handed top order batter, even middle order in the longer formats. Also a handy spin option. Gideon Peters from Border. I got Lasiba Mwepe, who is a nice black African batter. He comes closer to home. And Ruan Deswat, which I know, Tim, you said Zubi is the signing of the off season. This Ruan Deswat one will hurt the Dolphins more than they can imagine. Guy averages 54 in first class cricket and like 53 in list A cricket. So there's a player there. And he's got like a little all round option as well. So I'm looking at this going, this is some good moves for a team that wants to get off the bottom of the table. They now are, even with these signings, right? They're a much better 4-day team right now.
Absolutely. We said that what they needed to do. We said to
Yeah,
the guys that needed to get out and out single line players, so guys that do one facet of the game really well, and that's
yeah,
what they've gone out and got. They've gone out and Gopi. Gopi is going to be fantastic, I think, in the white ball
mm,
formats. Um, they've gone out and got Reynard Fatunda, as you say, ideal for the local format. Um, and Warren to Swat for Tolano. There's not a lot there in terms of,
yeah.
that's a good replacement. You're not losing
It's a
a hell
better
of a lot.
batsman.
The only thing you're losing is big hitting
Mm,
in the white ball format. That's the only thing that I think
yeah.
you're losing. But in terms of an all-round cricketer, Ruan de Swart's got it
There's
all.
there's a Jacques Snyman hanging around here somewhere who with no club. Okay, he's still at the Knights, but if you want big hitting,
Yes. Well, we'll have to wait and see that. There's been a lot of exits from the Knights, but not
yeah,
him. Interestingly,
yeah, yeah.
as of yet. So yeah,
Yes.
Northwest have covered the bases, and they've got a good setup now.
Solid squad.
Definitely.
Yeah. Obviously, they've lost JP King, who is a youngster there. Also really good batter, all round option. But yeah, we'll talk about where they've gone. Next one is the team in Paul that has no coach. Has no coach. And Jeff Toyana's no longer at the Titans. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Anyway,
possible.
the Titans,
Yeah,
the Rocks, um, have Keegan Peterson and Glenton Steelman in some sort of a homecoming. Um, Obviously there'll be more because, but these two are some very good veteran signings who are coming back to a place that would be familiar from them.
yes. Certainly for both of them, and in particular in terms of Keegan's place. They've even released a video from Keegan saying how happy he is to be returning home. Um, he said how happy he was at the Dolphins, but he just said, "I want to be closer to my home," and you can't fault the guy wanting to be closer to his family. Um, so it's a huge signing for the Rocks. Massive. They needed solidification in their middle order, top to middle order, and they've now got it. Um, him batting with Stian, it's gonna be something to keep an eye out for. Um, and we said a couple of weeks ago, we said that what they needed was a leader of an attack.
Yeah.
So going to be lots of leader attacks needed,
Mm-hmm.
not so much a support player, and they've got that. They've got that in Sturman. Um, he's going to be a huge asset there. It's going to be interesting to see how he gets out on those flat wickets, which he has already alluded to. Um,
Mm.
but I think it's a good signing. Um, I would have maybe liked somebody with just a bit more pace on those
You
third
just
wickets,
like pace, Tim. Just admit it. You
but
just like pace. You
I,
get
I
addicted
do.
on pace.
I do. I do. But look, no, it's a good signing. It's a good signing.
Yeah.
It's a better signing than we were discussing a couple of weeks ago. We were discussing possibilities of who they
Mm.
could go for. Um, it's a good signing, definitely.
It's
No doubt
good
about
business
it.
for a team that shouldn't be hanging around the bottom of the log. And what they've done with these two is they've gotten themselves multi-format, um, former Protea level stars, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
And they just need, the question for me with the Rocks is who's going to be their coach going forward, how that's going to look like. And is that the reason why they've only just made two big name signings instead of four or like the other teams? Because the team that we're going to be talking about after this are the Warriors. And yeah, they've gone. They've gone and taken quite a lot of
My
of people.
gosh.
This is quite a haul for like an early season. But anyway, they went and got the best spinner in the second best spinner in Division Two, Sean Whitehead from Southwestern Districts. He can bat too, so I think he's going to be in that top six, kind of like a John Smuts or Vian Liba. Alfred Motwa of the Knights. He's a handy squad player. So is Patrick Kruger. Really good. Really, he's just a good batter. He can have his moments, and that's what you want. And Dilem Mokhakane, I think, is a really good buy or acquisition. Young Black African batter to replace Lisiba Ngwepe. They've literally just gone younger in age and higher in ceiling. Liam Alder from the Lions, who will play because Tsepondwand is not there. So that I think is going to be good for him. Tian van Vuren from the Knights, really quick. Seen some glimpses of him. He was if Gerald wasn't there, this man struggled. Oh, well, bold, but they still struggled. They all struggled at the Knights. So, but I still rate him. JP King is a massive one for me. I think he can increase the ceiling. Didn't yeah, ASA 19. here and there. About only got his debut in 4-day cricket later in the year, but he's a handy batter. And then they went and got Ronaldo Mayo, who remember came from Southwestern Districts, went to Northwest, didn't take a lot of wickets there, but I think Robbie P is going to be looking to resurrect him.
Yeah, I just need to double check something quickly.
Mm.
But as you say, Robbie P, it's very much of Robbie P's selections. There we go.
Yeah.
There needs to be just a slight correction here. Tian
Mm-hmm.
van Vuren is leaving the Warriors for the Knights.
Oh,
Uh,
to the
so that's
he's leaving the
the
Warriors to go
only
to.
the Knights.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Tian is going down
Ah,
down a
yes, he's
division.
there. Yeah.
It's,
Okay.
um,
Oh, yes,
um,
I have him here. Why am I? Okay, sorry. Yeah,
no worries, no worries.
got a little
Um,
confused.
but it's a Robbie P selection team. That, as you
Mm.
say, guys who are under 20, 26, 27,
Yeah,
guys who are going to reach their peak in a year or two. Not at the top of the game right now.
yeah,
So the fruits of the labour will come in the future. For me, it's Liam Elder, JP King, and Patrick Kruger. How he gets the best out of those three, for me, is going to be very, very exciting. I think JP King, Northwest last season, they had JP King, and they had the guy we just spoke about, James. And
yes,
JP settled right away. From the moment
yes,
he arrived in that first innings, he settled.
yeah.
You
But
saw a
that's what
guy
St.
who
John's
was
boys do, Tim. They just settle in.
first.
That's what they do.
You said he was a first class cricketer. Boom, he's a first class cricketer. I think he's going to be a fantastic signing.
Yeah,
I really do. And that they always talk about the Robbie P environment being a good one. So
yeah.
he's gonna enjoy that environment. Um,
That's cool.
and I think long term he might move to a bigger union.
I I
Um,
do think there is a if he's so here there's a couple of things depending on the contractual structure, right? I'm assuming they signed him to a long-term agreement because it's a Jordan Hanman, it's JP King, it's who's their opener with Hanman? It's not okay because Eddie's
where
gone. At the Warriors.
Britsky,
Britsky. Yes,
Britsky,
so it's Britsky, Hadman, and JP King. That's a call. And then you add Mukhakane there, who is a good black African batter. That gives you runs. And Mukhakane is no joke. He's averaged 50 in Division Two before. I think the season before. This last season wasn't as great, but there's potential there. And you,
there's
you have a
talent.
core four, right? And then obviously Sean Whitehead comes in, probably batting at six, as that option. You still have Diego Rosier, who is great with the gloves. You still have Sheila as well. So you're building some sort of a nice young 7-8 batting core that can dominate. But JP King walks into the side for me. And to a certain extent, that's how they were so dangerous at 4 days cricket early in the season because those youngsters were just scoring runs. Obviously, on the back end, lots of draws, and they did lose one, I think, out of there, and it kind of fell away at the end. But really strong team. It'll be interesting to see how they can obviously take it into the final stages of the 4 days and actually win it. For me, the other question is limited overs cricket. I'm worried about the side from a T20 and a ODI or 1 day cup. Great 4 day cricketers. Not sure if they can be limited overs cricket. Obviously, they lose Lisiba. But from a bowling perspective, Bear Swanepoel's been great for them. And yeah, I'm really happy with what they've done right now. Really, really happy. Um, let's talk about a team before the team we're promoting. Yeah, this is no joke. This is what it is. The Dolphins have not acquired anybody. So I'd love to talk about them because um, Tando's gone. But I've always felt that this team was the deepest out of all the teams in South Africa because you've got Mark Sackerman, you've got Grant Rudolphson, you've got Bryce Parsons who wasn't getting game time. So if it's Keegan Peterson leaving, maybe gives Bryce Parsons an opportunity. They have Kaya Zondo. They still have Sado, who's going to have a full season next year, unless if he wants to let go and hang up his boots, which is going to be then quite interesting in the opener market. Who, if they can poach openers from somewhere else.
So yeah,
Yeah,
if people are just not following as closely as doing something else, the Dolphins have lost to Swart, Ntini, and Keegan Peterson at the moment. I've been told that they will be making signings, nothing drastic, but they will be making signings to obviously replace those guys that they've left. It will be interesting to see what they get. I did ask whether they were going to promote from within, and the inkling I got was they're going to go from outside. So the guys that are going to replace the guys that are
who
going to come.
is available? Who do you think? Give an opinion. No one's told you anything, so let's.
Nobody's told me anything. No.
Yeah, Jamie Carragher was trying to get Gary Neville this week to make a call, and he didn't want to. And he was like, "It's an opinion. Just say something." But I'm not going to force you. But who do you think they should get?
So, out of those three, they don't need an all-rounder.
No, because Jason Smith's there, who doesn't bowl.
Jason Smith, John Smuts, and Bryce Parsons. If all three of them staying, they don't need an all-rounder.
John. Oh wow.
So that's that one deal. On the assumption that Keegan is going to play back at the Proteas, again, you don't necessarily need a top-level player.
Yeah.
So it's and the Thunder one is.
There's too many fast bowlers there.
Thunder was behind so many fast bowlers.
Yeah.
So actually, if you're looking at it from that point of view, I'd be tempted to look Division 2. I'd be tempted to look and see what they've
Talk to me, Tim. What they've got.
So, if I'm thinking loud here, who have Northern Cape got? Because Northern Cape haven't lost a lot of players. They were really, really good. They've lost a couple, but a lot less than I thought they would have at this stage.
Yeah.
I can't think. Well,
they've got who?
If it's an opener for Keegan, so it's not quite a direct thing, but it's
who you go for?
Kemp situation.
Ernest Kemp.
I'm
that'd be
bringing
nice.
Ernest Kemp.
Okay.
Definitely, that's what I'm doing. Can't think of anybody else. No. Not a.
There isn't much. Like I look at that team and I'm like, these guys are okay. They're fine. There's
exactly they've got everything covered.
Yes.
So it's almost a little bit strange that they're not thinking of promoting from within, going to their academy and saying, you know what,
or maybe taking someone from the Tuskers, which would be slightly unfair, but these things happen.
Yes, they do. Considering the fact that Tando's gone there, so one goes there and one leaves. Perhaps. But that's
that's an interesting one. Yeah, they've got because they've got Batman, they've got Pavilon, they've got Mudi Mukwane, they've got the SAA captain, what's his name? The spinner, the off spinner. They also have Subrian, they've got Keshav, they've got a lot. They've got Kaya, they've got Andile, then they've got Sarl, they've got Grant, they've got
the big one for
Marks.
Me. So it's not a signing as such because he's been injured most of the season. It's kind of a signing. It's Lifa and Sansi.
Joe,
now
they still have him. He would
be the great guy to take over from Thunder if I'm.
But he's too far behind so many people. A guy like Lifa needs to play. So either send him to the Tuskers with Tando, and they have a massive snake there at the top, or send him to Division Two, send him to go play at Border or something. But Lifantanzi, for the health of South African cricket, cannot, because that's another 150 guy, right? A guy who can crank it up, right? They already have Bartman, right? So send Lifa to, well, it's just tough because they brother unions in Division One. Let him go play there, or send him somewhere else on a 1 year deal. Um, but if I'm Lifa wanting a longer time, a longer rope, and see what I can do. But Northwest, I look at Northwest. The only thing they need is another pacer, and Lifa is just right there. Jeez, Lefantanzi, yo, Khalid would be so happy right now that we mentioned Lefantanzi. Okay, final team, and then we talk about Division Two. The team that came up, they've had to, obviously when you come up into a new division, you want to stay there, you want to make yourself at home. So they have decided to go for some veterans. They've done quite well. They've gotten a guy who averages close to 50 in first class cricket, and Pat Fambulyon. He's also very good at other formats, so that's going to be quite important, especially for the Tuskers. You know, you want to do well in the 1 day cups and the T20s, and Pite is a good, solid middle order. You put him in, he sits down, and I see I've got Pite twice, which is great. Anyway. Bulelo Budaza from the Knights. He's a handy limited overs bowler. From longer formats, I'm not so longer formats. Yeah, he works 4 day cricket, T20 not so much, but 4 day and 1 day he'll do well. Tando Ntini is the one where I'm saying they're taking a punt on a guy who's got potential but hasn't had the opportunity, and it's time for him to show us, what he can do. And yeah, Smangeliso Ntlebela, he comes from the Titans. He's a spinner. He played against the West Indies in that warm-up game. And then they've also got Kagiso Rapulana from the Lions. He's a veteran batter, Black African batter, who's going to sit inside there. He's going to give you 30s and 40s. He'll give you 1 or 2 big scores a season, but that's my one issue with Kagiso, is that he just never kicked on to be consistent, but he did enough to keep his average around the 40s or just under the 40s for him to stay at the Lions. And this is going to be a big season for him, because I think after this, you go to Division 2. So, yeah, Pite from Beyond times 2, but yeah, Pite's worth 2 players for this team at this point in time.
Well, exactly. You were correct to put his name in twice, because he is worth that much. What does this Tuskers side need? It needed experience.
Yeah.
It needed guys who know how to play this division, who know the players inside out, the opposition around the country.
Yeah.
He knows the grounds, he knows the pitches. He's going to be invaluable source of information on and off the field. Fantastic. Budaza, I've always liked Budaza. I've always been a fan of Budaza, and I don't think he's quite kicked on as well as I thought he was going to. I kind of saw him as a regular SAA, SA Invitational, SA Emerging kind of player. Not quite the next step, but just below it. But he has had some really good seasons. If you look at his entire career at the Knights, been really, really consistent in a Knight side that have really struggled.
Bowling on some very flat pitches. So
yeah,
I think he might get some joy going to the Midlands. Hopefully there'll be a little bit more bounce and the ball will do something, because he's accurate. And yeah, he's done well. And that just speaks of the experience, right? The Tusker sat down and said, we need experience, we don't need youth. They've let Mohakani go and they're okay with that. Even though I think it's a big loss. But then they're like, we want guys who've won trophies, who've been in domestic cricket for a long time, who've done this. And one of the ways is to go and look at the team that's going down and pick what's great. I think they got after Joe Kutsia the best one out of all of them. And then obviously They went to Kagiso, which we remember we had the show earlier on. I thought Kagiso would be good there. Mbutaza's still very good. And so, yeah, and then I think Ntlabella and Ntini are, let's give guys a chance. If they get more game time, there might be something. They needed a spinner. They didn't have a out-and-out spinner. They have a spinner now in Ntlabella. And then now, obviously, it's an easy one for Tando to go to the Midlands and go and show us what we've been waiting to see.
And it also it also adds the fact that the top level guys, top order batsmen that have been bowling, it's saying,
Yeah.
you know what, Division 1, you're batting.
You don't need a bowl.
You're batting. I'm not
Yes.
asking you anything else. You're focusing on your batting.
Yeah. But obviously they've got the Carl Nippers and all of those.
Look,
Yeah.
if they need to, then that's fine. But in Division 2, it was kind of like you're always going to bowl. That was kind of what it was like. The top order batsmen, the Carl Nippers and the Ernest Kims, and not them, but those top order guys, Michael Erlich.
Yes, Michael Erlang.
Malik Erlich bowled far too much for me. He is
Okay.
Now he needs to be, for me, primarily a batsman in Division 1.
Okay. Yeah, and makes sense. Yeah, look, you gotta adjust. You're adjusting to to keep up, and so I'm happy with what they've done. There's a couple of there's a couple of people who I'm like, okay, they still need to move, but we'll talk about them. Division 2. So I've just put them all at once. Thomas Caper, who was the number 1 wicket taker last year. Yes, I think so. Yeah, in the 4-day. He's moving from Border to Southwestern Districts. Kwesi Gumet is moving from Boland, the Paul Rocks, to Southwestern Districts. Ruanta Blanche, who didn't get a lot of game time, and we spoke about him on one of those shows where people needed to move. He's moved to Southwestern Districts. Kelly Smuts, the wicketkeeper, has gone to Southwestern Districts, and Zakele Kwabe has gone to Northern Cape. There's one that's missing here, Tim. Rivaldo Munsami, who I think scored the most runs last year in 4-day cricket. He's moving back to the Titans. So that's going to be quite interesting because you've got Javeshan as well. So I don't know how that's going to work. Javeshan might be moving. We don't know. He might be going to KZN. To the Dolphins. I don't know. Could be.
And I'll just add one more because
Yes.
we're live and checking on the latest signings. Chris Brooks. I kind of saw this now with all the Northwest.
The big
signings.
hitter at Northwest.
He's going to Northern Cape. I kind of saw that
Okay.
happening with
So
all the signings.
here's a spot for you. There's a couple of guys, right? Matthew Pearce. You like him. We all like him. We all want to see him in Division 1. Could he be going to Northwest?
It's
You say they need a big hitter.
Yeah.
Also,
you're right. Yes.
Also,
Yes.
Shane Dadswell. Big hitter, all-rounder, sitting in the Eastern Storm. That makes sense, right? Northwest. Surely.
It does. He should not be in Division 2. Last season was fine, but long term, Shane Dadswell should not be in Division 2.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
certainly.
There's a couple, and there's one more, and I think this one will help you win or help you go top 4 in division, in the T20 competition, or even in the ODI competition. Where is Miguel Pretorius going? If he goes to Northwest, if he goes to Paarl, if he goes to the Tuskers, that guarantees you a top 4 finish. That gives you quite a high, chunky points haul to make sure that you stay far away from him. Because that guy is like Ethan Bosch, but Ethan Bosch, I think, has now surpassed him. Miguel Pretorius is a massive, massive signing. And if the Lions went for Delano, it means Miguel is unavailable or he's already going somewhere. But it's a quite interesting one.
It sounds like, and I got this from our fellow commentator way back. It sounds like Michael is going to be a free agent.
To
He's
where?
not going anywhere. He's not.
What do you mean
anywhere.
he can't? So what is he going to do?
He's going to play. He's going to play the leagues. He's going to play the leagues, and when he's not playing the T20 leagues, when he's not playing them, he'll play for the Knights. He's not going anywhere. That's what it sounds like.
That's disappointing. It's like Riley. Riley too. Right? Does
No,
Riley
he's
need a
gonna
club?
play-
Does Riley need a team?
No, he doesn't. No, Riley's not contracted, is he?
No, he's not. With CSA.
No, not with CSA.
But does he not need a team?
I would love him to have a team, but he kind of
Just
is
for
playing
T20.
all these leagues. He's kind of playing
Yes.
SA20, the 100, the PSL. There's not a lot of. He's only really playing T20 cricket, isn't he?
Yes. So for the T20 challenge, Riley Rousseau comes in for 6 weeks. You pay him for 6 weeks and you let him go.
He'll probably.
There's no way he's playing for the Knights.
No,
there's no way.
He can't. No, he can't.
Nor does Miguel. Like Miguel can't play for the Knights. Oaks, come on.
He can't. Riley has to go somewhere. Where does Riley go? Riley goes to Borland.
I suspect Miguel will do the same.
If I'm Riley, I'm going to Borland. Flat tracks, smaller horse runs. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Cheers. Bye.
And then Corbin Bosch. I don't think he's a free agent. But with Gerald coming in as we expected, they haven't brought in any other fast bowlers. Does he stay? Because Corbin in the previous episodes, you can go back and check them. Corbin was one of the names we were like, he should probably go to Borland. Does Corbin move?
That's a tricky one. If I'm looking at it logically, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm not gonna flood him over Borland because you can only contract so many players. You can't just have an unlimited amount. I'm saying there's a place over in Province.
Tim. Okay, fine.
Place
one last free agent, right? I put out a tweet to ask where my favorite coach, Jeffrey Tayana's going. Where's Jeffrey going? He's going to. There's an opening in Paarl. There's also. Do you think Enoch's got him in like the under 19 setup or somewhere? Because I know Mali's looking at the National Academy. I don't know if that's going to translate to him being an under 19 coach, or is Jeff going to be a 19 coach? Because he did tweet to me saying Liverpool Juniors, and I don't know who Liverpool Juniors is, but I'm just joking around. But where do you think Jeff's going to go? And Easton's doesn't have a coach, by the way.
That's that right there has put my ears up. So everybody is gonna go. He's going to Borland. It's the Division 1. It's a good squad. It's a nice place to work.
Yeah.
It's close-ish to Cape Town. It's got everything you want. Does he go home? Does he go where he played, where he coached?
I know. I'd be the first one. I'd come on this podcast, even though we shouldn't be podcast, be like, yes, Easton's. But yeah, what does he have at Easton's? There's no longer the Grant Thompsons. It's a very young squad. It's a squad that he doesn't know. He's gonna have to like build it from the ground. And like he's got Sikukuni, he's got Pierce, but obviously keeping those guys and making sure they don't go and
Monkey's
making
there.
Monkey's there too.
There.
Yeah.
So there's a nucleus of good players there. The players, they were not a million miles away from causing a lot of upsets at the end of the season. They're not a million miles. They were pretty close from doing that. I think that there are lots of issues down there, but I think Jeffrey could clear that all up. So I'm coming home, boys. I'm taking over.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a little while, but I think we can do Division 1 in maybe 3 years, something like that.
2.
Well, I think, I know this is going slightly off tangent, I think SWD, with their signings, are saying, we want
We want
Division
in.
1.
Yeah.
We want Division 1. Those signings are top-level Division 2 signings for a team that are fighting for promotion.
Yeah.
And that's not always going to be the case in Division 2. It's going to be a process. I think SWD are fighting for promotion from next season.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, cool. Let's close it out. Thank you very much to everyone who's come onto the podcast for the season. I've enjoyed it. Tim, I hope you've enjoyed it as well. Yeah, but we'll be back. Might do some ad hoc podcasts as we go to the season, depending on if the Proteas do something or if there any big news that's come up. But outside of that, Tim, do you have any final words before we go home?
Yeah, just to say thanks very much, as you say, for everyone who's listened, watched, subscribed. Keep doing all that, please. Please, it helps us be seen by more people. I don't like to do that kind of thing, but it's important to us.
Yes.
That the more people who see us, who listen to us, who watch us, the more people who see it, the better it is for us. And the better it is for you, actually, because then we can come up with different kind of content. We want to change a few things next season, whenever that is.
Yeah.
There'll be
maybe do more live shows in the evenings.
There won't be. Yes, there won't be.
Yeah.
It won't be drastic. It'll just be a slight change. But you just keep your ears peeled for that. And as I said, the more you like us, the more content we give you, the more interviews we give you, actually, because that is quite time consuming to try and get people. I enjoy it, but it does take time.
Yes, no, Tim, you've done a stellar job at getting all these interviews. I think I wouldn't have done it without you, but thank you very much to everyone.
Just wanted to say thanks. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll be back soon. It might be August. It might be sooner. So please do keep your eyes out and subscribe. You'll be notified when we come back online. Also, please do share widely. Support is really appreciated. And if you'd like to partner with us, please do send me an email and at Mpho and we'll chat. Because that's the other thing. We want to promote businesses, small businesses, anything else that's associated with cricket. The season has now, it's like we've gone into a new era. And so we would like to make this a popular thing among cricketers in South Africa. We debate issues and we talk about stuff and also bring you on, maybe. Who knows? So, thank you very much, guys. Till next season, it's goodbye and lesale kakahiso.